Reddit by Reddit and chill. What would you say is the one thing you can't forgive a person for? My father calling the police on me after his girlfriend moved in and he changed the locks while all my stuff was in the house still. My mom forgetting I had cancer and never once called me for 9 months during my treatment. She was never around anyways and would forget my birthday, so I guess I should have expected it. Haven't talked to her in about a year. I don't need that toxicity in my life. Edit. Thank you for the silver. I just want to say thank you to everyone. It's amazing to see so many caring and loving people. Just so everyone knows, I'm about 10 months cancer free. And I have to say, even though it was an extremely terrifying and heartbreaking experience, I'm glad I went through it. I'm a much stronger person with a more positive outlook on life. Or at least I try, lol. What the duck? That's horrible. Gosh. I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. My father cheated on my mom when she had stage 4 cancer. I was 23 at the time and ended up giving up my apartment and moving back home to take care of her. She had squamous cell carcinoma on her foot, so they had to amputate most of her leg and she was in a lot of pain. One night I heard them arguing and he said, well, I can't get it from you, so I'll have to get it somewhere else. He ended up spending most of his time at the house of some woman he met from the neighborhood. My brothers, who never so much as visited our mom during the time she was sick, tell me I'm overreacting and I should just get over it. So long as I'm drawing breath. I'll never forgive that son of a bitch for treating my mom that way. And I'll continue to be estranged from my brothers. 2. Breaking the trust you had in them even when you gave them a second chance. I've given people far too many second chances. To the point that I'm even skeptical about even giving second chances anymore. Since I know I'll just be hurt in the long run. Not simply doing something bad once, but doing it on purpose. Enjoying it. And continuing to do it. A person can't be forgiven until they've stopped for good or honestly fight the urge to do it again. The best apology is changed behavior. My wife's family taking my distress at losing my wife at 39 as weakness and trying to take advantage to get whatever they could. Nope, can't forget that one. That is beyond shitty. Being distressed over losing your closest loved one is weakness? Do they not have any feelings for their own family member? If they lie extensively and try to cover it up, break your heart, and then lie to you again, but you have no way to prove it, you end things but always wonder if you've made a mistake. My mom does this. I don't think I can break up with my mom though. I just stop believing in her. My stepmom cheating on my dad. He's such a good guy and has done so much for her, including adopting her son from a previous marriage. And she ducking destroyed him. My stepmother cheated on my dad too. They agreed to go to therapy but she continued cheating. Then she kicked him out of their house because she was tired of paying for hotels to be with her boyfriend. A few years later, while they were separated but not yet divorced, my dad got really sick. He was in the hospital in a coma and the evil stepmother opened up a bunch of credit cards in my dad's name and ran up over 50k in charges. She's a monster. I haven't talked to her since my father's funeral. And will never forgive her for the way she treated him. Shaming someone trying to better themselves. Whether it might be an overweight person in the gym or someone working a minimum wage job. You have no idea what they are going through and yet you chose to make fun out of them. My so is doing this now. I recently lost 20 pounds and somehow he gained self-righteousness. Puts down overweight people. Calls them lazy. I just look at him like, are you serious? It took me 3+ years to lose 20 pounds. He saw me struggle for years. But he assumes strangers have no backstory or struggles like I did. They're just lazy. It's infuriating. Marrying a family member's rapist. Knowingly. I have a family member who stayed married to her husband after he raped her sister-in-law, her brother's wife, and later tried to molest her little sister. When the little sister came forward, the rapist's wife told her she was lying and trying to steal her husband. At 13. Hurting anyone that can't defend themselves. It's an extremely cowardly act. Wow, I thought airbenders got wiped during the 100-year war. Though I agree. When I was raped, my best friend didn't want to believe me. Said it wasn't her place to take sides. I tried so hard to keep the relationship functioning. But that trauma defined me for years. And she only ever acknowledged it with if that did happen. At her 21st birthday she invited him to the party. And didn't tell me until I was already there. I left immediately and never replied to a text or call from her again. It's been years. Been exactly where you are. Cut those a-holes out and never looked back. Using a person's kindness for their own gain. Like that unique presenter that went on Facebook Live with a lady claiming she needed money to pay for headstones for like 6 terminally ill wards of the state but refuses to answer any questions about the kids. Also she bought them McDonald's breakfast every morning because the hospital wasn't feeding them. Oh. And she was appalled that the kids were wearing hand-me-downs that the hospital was only changing every 3 days, so she needed money to buy them new clothing, because terminally ill cancer patients would definitely not be in hospital gowns. I'm fairly positive these women preyed on people's kindness and took all of their money. Edit. Since this got some attention. I am usually not a big fan of most YouTubers, but Boaty with Ashley did a pretty good breakdown of some of the inconsistencies from the Facebook Live stream. There is supposed to be another update from her soon. First, yeah to be link. Second, yeah to be link. Third, yeah to be link. Fourth, yeah to be link. It's been 15 years since the incident and I don't think I'll ever forgive my once best friend for having sex with my autistic sister. Edit. For clarification, my sister was born without oxygen and received major brain damage due to it. She's 18 months older than me, but still stuck at the age of 2 mentally. She can't talk actual words outside of mama and baba. Is your sister low functioning? And didn't consent? Cause then she was raped. I'm sorry. Killing my daughter. I read your post history out of curiosity and it made me sad and angry. I hope you're coping okay. A few years ago one of my ex's cousins died in a car crash. It took an extreme emotional toll on my ex and her entire family. My ex and her mother wound up on an extremely emotional late night phone call. For context, they are Chinese. So I didn't understand any of the details of the conversation. As I'm lying in bed they finally hang up their phones. And for whatever reason my spidey sense goes off. I get up to go check on my ex in the living room to find her holding a knife and moving it toward her wrist. I had to wrestle the knife from her and put her in a hold while she thrashed and cried uncontrollably. Turns out her mother ended their conversation telling her that she wished she had aborted her. Since then they have both gone to therapy, individually, and have not only worked out their problems but have forged an even stronger relationship than either of them ever thought they could have. I'm proud of both of them. But what the mother did that night is one thing I can't and won't forgive her for. I had a hysterectomy at the ripe age of 32 and never had a chance to have children with my husband. My sister is an alcoholic and she gets very mean when she's drunk. She was upset with me one evening and she was leaving me message after message because I wouldn't pick up. I listened to one. I probably shouldn't have. She said, "You will never know what it's like to have children. You wouldn't have been a good mom." Pretty much saying I deserve it. She's 48 and knows better. But I don't think I can forgive her. She goes too far. But she's in rehab now for her 10th time. You don't have to forgive her. That's an awful thing to tell someone, let alone a sibling. My first relationship was ended by a mutual friend who talked behind my back. She managed to convince my boyfriend that I was an a-hole for studying instead of partying with him. I wanted to give us financial stability so he could pursue his art career. After we broke up, she tried to form a relationship with him and failed miserably. I still talk to my ex and we got our friendship back. What she destroyed, though, will never be the same. From as long as I can remember. She's the one person that I never managed to forgive. Sounds like he's an a-hole for listening to her. The father of my child cheated on me with my mum. They are now living together as a couple. I can never forgive them. Edit. You guys have floored me. None of my posts have ever got this much attention. Thanks for your kind words and your funny jokes making me smile, and thanks so much for the gold. Yes, I do have custody of my son. I work 2 jobs so he can thrive and it's a real struggle, but I'm keeping it together. He still sees my mum and my ex once or twice a week. But as much as it kills me, I can't cut them off from my son's life. If I remove a loving father from my 2-year-old's life, that makes me the real deadbeat. Things may change though. The process I'm going through gets more and more bitter with each day, and I simply can't look at them. Above all of this comes my child, and I must hold it together for him. Oh no. I can't even imagine what you're going through, let alone your child. Hell. I work with many young people who are and have been abused by the people who should be caring for them and protecting them. I have seen how it affects these children in many different ways. I never stop feeling internal anger at the ones who have interfered with their child's emotional well-being, learning and social maturity. The ones who simply neglect and think their child won't notice. The ones who dig away at their child's confidence with constant criticism and verbal bullying all make me boil inside. There are some amazing young people who walk away strong and determined. However, many have been permanently scarred, inside and out, and me and my colleagues work hard to turn negatives into positives for them. Well, if you know me, then it's not surprising. I can't forgive drunk driving. I moved to the United States around 5 years ago from Ireland. 2 years after I did, I was in the car with my family when we were hit by a drunk driver. In the crash, everyone in my family thankfully wasn't hurt except me, due to shrapnel as well as inhalation of toxic fumes. I now am covered in scars and can no longer speak at all other than small squeaks. Because one person decided to drive after drinking. It changed my life and the life of my family forever. Don't drink and drive, people. Not just for your own safety, but everyone's safety. Edit. Thanks for the silver. I'm still new to Reddit, so this is awesome. Thanks for the support. Edit 2. Wow, gold. I didn't think my story was all that special. Thanks a ton. That's ducked. My sister gave us 3 days notice that we were being evicted. And that's only because my dad confronted her with the eviction notice he found. Had he not snooped, we would have been completely caught by surprise. It's annoying because we found out that night that my grandmother and aunt had been sending my sister money the entire time we lived with them to help us get back on our feet. We could have used that money for gas, which we had to beg her for. We could have used that money for my parents to get to job interviews that they had, but couldn't get to because of no gas or car troubles. I used to be a different person, and being homeless fundamentally changed me as a person. It absolutely destroyed my social skills and my self-esteem. Since the first time of being homeless, I've been homeless 2 or 3 times after that. It's a bit of a blur. I truly hope you get back on your feet. Taking advantage of someone's disability, mental, physical, whatever it may be. Purposefully harming a child or animal. Do mosquitoes count? Because I feel absolutely no remorse and I usually kill them with fire. I can't forgive my now alienated spouse's family for all literally lining up to kick me when I was down. They never liked me. My husband at a low point had an affair and every member of his immediate family took that to mean it was now open season on me, and each unleashed every verbal disgusting assault they could. All within weeks of my life having crumbled around me as I knew it. My husband worked his ass off in the years after to earn back my trust and respect. He was an incredibly damaged human from his upbringing in such a family. Therapy and more therapy. I lived years in agony out of love and respect for him, trying to make it through the mire that my life had become. But I cannot bring myself to try to reconcile with people who literally saw me grasping for reasons to still live and decided to grind their heels into my fingers. They killed any chance of being in my life and the lives of my children for good. Having the courage to be vulnerable and then having it thrown in your face. Thank you, kind stranger, for the silver. This. I call it weaponizing vulnerability. And it's an instant relationship ender. It's not something you can bring up and talk out. Trust is gone forever. My ex at the moment, since finding out I had cancer, has been harassing me and taking me to court near enough every month, and also has been telling people that I've only a few weeks left to live etc. I'm not terminal. And for that, I can never forgive him. Who does that to someone trying to recover and stay stressless? Child sex abuse. Edit. Holy crap. This blew up. Thanks for the gold. kind stranger, S. And anyone that knows about it and lets it continue to happen. Other than the obvious, committing a violent or sexual offense, close friends or family suddenly ghosting me. It's cruel to leave someone twisting in the wind. Sack up and tell me that you don't want to be a part of my life, for whatever reason, and then move on. This is sad because my dad has issues with his siblings and his side of the family. I love my paternal cousins, but since I am still living with my parents, I am not allowed to have any contact with them. I haven't seen them in about 7 years, when I was 12. I miss them so bad. Once I move out, I'm going to go visit them. First thing, they've tried to reach out and it breaks my heart every time. But I have to delete their messages. Parents are extremely snoopy. The only thing that makes me feel a bit better is that they know about the tension between our parents and they know that I'm not allowed to talk to them. It really sucks. Though. Ducking like and subscribe.